with my second video on healing perspectives. And this is my take on esoterism. And esoterism is, well, I play with words to understand things, and tend to be rather simplistic because the more complicated things get, the more confusion there is. And the more confusion there is, the less likely it's going to serve you and support you. And the more likely it's going to enslave you. And I am not pro enslavement, I am pro freedom. I believe that you have a great capacity for autonomy, self-healing, and authority within your own right. You are a divine being. You are the divine having a material experience. And those are all big fat words to describe the fact that, within you there is a spark of the divine, of source, of God, if you may. I strongly believe this, and my channel and my work and my experiences and my research is all about healing perspectives. And I'm here to share this with you, not so that I can help you, because I don't believe anyone can help you with anything in your life. You help yourself. You empower yourself by learning and playing with possibilities. So I share my experiences, I share my perspectives, I share my intuition, I share my understanding, I share enthusiastic ideas, and hopefully, as you listen to my stories, you think about ways in which you can play with perspectives inside of your own journey. Because that's all there is. Your journey. Nobody else's journey matters, because in your life, the only journey that becomes solid, that has consequences, is your own. Your decisions will have effects in your life. So that's where you are the most powerful being. So I'm just sharing my perspectives and sharing what has helped me and how it's helped me. And maybe the stories support you somehow. I'm not here to teach. Everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research, do your own investigation. I also hope to interview amazing people doing amazing things on the sphere of being a limitless divine beings who are in their freedom. So my take on esoterism is that esoteric is the opposite of exoteric. Externalized, internalized. It might be wrong. I know that there's a whole body of understanding and teachings and ideology and books and psychologies and blah 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 and cults all around it. I don't necessarily believe that you need to be reading something about Zoroastrianism or some other kind of body of knowledge that is considered esoteric to really understand or tap into it. Even something as simple as being somebody who feels their way through life and understands things differently and gets a sense of things, even that is already validated. That's valid. If you have a sense that the weather is changing, like I knew somebody who would always get pain in the wrist, and they would tell me it's gonna rain later. Actually, I had that too. It wasn't my wrist. When I was a teenager, just before bad weather would start, like maybe 30 minutes before, I would start to get red. Like my skin would get red, and I would be uncomfortable. And I noticed that it always happened just before the rain. So, some people have that. And that's a very simplistic example, but it's that knowledge that comes from within. Sometimes we know things, and we can't really explain how or why we know them, but they help us. They help us relate with the seen and the unseen. So esoteric ideas are like that. every person is going to value a different story or a different myth. They're going to relate with a different goddess or god or idea or runes or tarot or whatever tool. But those are all very subtle practices. They're a little bit like, you can't quite measure them because they're in the realm of the unseen and inexplicable. Because everything that happens inside of the human is that way. You're basically processing, and they will say, yes, your brain is creating all the experiences and nothing's really happening. And that in and of itself is a very huge concept of esoteric teachings, including the Tao and, Taoism. Tao, I say it the way they say it, Tao. But Buddhism and all those things, Confucianism, and a lot of people really struggle with that kind of worldview because we're so used to the the exoteric or external world. We want to externalize divinity. We want to externalize power. We want to externalize things so we can touch them. That's really what it is. It's a desire to be able to interact with it in a tactile way, with our senses. But a lot of times with the senses that we're to use it. So, for example, being able to see something. For example, for me, having an esoteric view of the world helps me because it allows me to trust people when I have literally had no a background that makes it much easier to distrust and mistrust people and have a doubt that things are going to go well. Because why? I've experienced a lot of trauma and I've experienced a lot of betrayal. I've also betrayed myself because in the trauma sphere, we know when we deny ourselves our needs, we're also betraying ourselves. So basically, one of the really important things here is that when you start to shift into the esoteric worldview, like you think about what's happening on the inside rather than only the external, sometimes that makes it easier to understand or understand or allow space for other people to behave in ways that maybe we don't expect, anticipate, or necessarily agree with. As in, it gives us space to go, well, I'm not sure what's going on inside of them. And then I ask the question, do I need to know? I do that a lot. That's a perspective that helps me. Because then I think, well, what's important is what's going on inside of me. So if I am, able to forgive, if I'm able to still find a way to connect with them in a way that is still respecting my own personal boundaries, and then deciding what my boundaries are, like identifying them and listening to that. And so, it might seem like it's not related because esoteric is about, spiritual belief systems, but spirit is something that we attribute as the driving force. So someone's attitude, their behaviors, their tendencies are all spirit. They're all part of spirit. In some religious circles, like the Christians and the New Age Christians, they talk a lot about the spirit of jealousy and the spirit of, contention and the spirit of greed. So, people who are living under that drive to be greedy, to have more, to acquire more, that's a spirit. But we can't know what other people's spirits are. Like, what's their driving force without going really deep to them. So for me, that perspective helps me because I can't grasp what's happening inside of somebody else. I mean, I can imagine what it probably is. But do I know though? No, I don't. It's basically impossible to know. And the good thing is that for me, that releases this need to constantly find out what's going on inside of people. And that's my take on esotericism today. It's a way to interact with the world for those levels that we don't actually perceive with our what's the word I'm looking for here? What the hell? These guys parked so bad. Anyway, let me see. Well, I'm gonna park somewhere else. With our most immediate, with our most immediate senses, because sometimes we just can't use our immediate senses the way we might want. Well, I'm gonna hang up now because I'm about to park, but it's been a cool day at work, and now I'm going to go. Well, it's pretty sunny, so we might go out. I don't know. I'm starting to think like maybe it's a bad idea because it's really hot. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.